Hello, my name is Alan C. Paul. I'm a husband, musician, I'm a father, I'm forgiven. I run Paul Creative Services where I help faith focused, highly motivated creatives to thrive in every area of their life. And I also write, I podcast, and I am a performer, a musician.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you heard it right. You're getting all of these things from the father, I think. The husband, that's sometimes the most complicated because it's hard to please as a man, and nowadays it's hard to please everybody. But Alan C. Paul is going to give us the game. And you know what? It's just coming to me. Podcasting is a lot like a good marriage. You never know what you're going to get, but you got to be consistent. Sir, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I love the energy, and I want to fill in all the gaps and just help people in all those areas, whatever the area there is, to figure out what the next step is as they move forward in their life. And glad to be here to share.
Well, let's share, and this all comes to me when it comes. I thank God, and I pray before every podcast. Some people say, "Really?" Because you said something last time I didn't know, but yeah, I do. But sometimes things have to be said. I got to whoop y'all like Geno Jennings sometimes. But talk about the podcasting because you help people with their podcast, and nowadays I think people, when they hear that, they say, well, that means you can get me a Joe Rogan deal or you can make me rich and famous. The same way when people get married, they think that just automatic happiness. Nah, you got to work for that joy, baby. So let people know, like, podcasting, everybody seems to have one now. What are you seeing for the good, the better, and the best, and any misconceptions people have when you say, I can help you?
Okay, well, I love the fact that you went first for the angle of, well, let's talk about the myths first. It's probably the best way, right? Instead of talking about the things that, are actually true, sometimes you got to disprove or debunk the things that aren't true about podcasting. So let's knock down some of those, and that might help somebody. First of all, the idea that, oh, wait, everybody has a podcast. Everybody's already podcasting. Well, I got some data on this one from a good friend, Alex and Filippo. Only about 20% of podcasts have even released a new episode in the past 90 days. There's almost 5 million of them. So just do the math. That's less than a million, right? That have even released an episode. So the first idea that everyone's like, oh, well, everybody's got a podcast, everybody's doing it. That's not true because a lot of people have podcasts, but they're not actually doing it. Now let's get to the next part. How many people are actually doing it for a profit? People who want to be these Joe Rogan style people? Well, that's an even smaller percentage. I think the number is like close to 10 to 50% of people who are actually podcasting are doing it as a business. Most people are doing podcasting just for the love of it, just because they enjoy it. I know you've got a business mind, but you enjoy this. You can tell from your energy that you enjoy doing what you do, right? So then that's an even smaller percentage. So now let's get to the part where you were just talking about how can I help them? Well, through my experience at podcast, I've been doing this since 2016 with the God and Gig Show. I now run 4 different podcasts. Each one of them has a different goal. God and Gig started as just a passion project. Now it's part of a business idea. I run 2 other podcasts that are more about faith and they have a connection to a mission, but they also are building communities, right? And then I have my passion project podcast, which I don't care who buys anything. I'm going to do that podcast because I'm a musician and I like playing music, right? So each one of those has a different structure and a different field that they go into. And that's the point. What's the purpose of your podcast? What community are you building? Why are you doing this? That's the part where I help people. I don't try to build audiences. I build purpose. I build community around the podcast, around the passion that you have. And then if profit is part of it, well, then we'll go in that direction. But it's determined by what you want out of your podcast, not just the idea that you're going to go viral, become Joe Rogan, have millions of subscribers. Because I've seen many people become very profitable and have almost no audience to those numbers because they didn't need it. They went to the people that wanted what they wanted, and then they were able to kind of monetize and do all that kind of stuff. But it starts with community and it starts with the why. That's what I try to help people understand about podcasting.
Now I can hear somebody, and the majority of the people are listeners. We pray and can't wait for those people also go to YouTube because that can help, with when we're talking about finances and YouTube being one of the the highest. But there's many of ways to do it. Some people use their podcast as lead generation, but you said something that I could hear one of the listeners or watchers say, wait, you got to tell me more. How can I make money with an audience of 10 or an audience of 100? How can I do that? Do I got to sell them something? They're listening real quick. Like if you guys are watching, I'm putting my ear to the camera. They want to know that. How can they do it? Because they might not, this might be new to them, or they might not be business people and read a book a week like the late great Miles Monroe told us to do many moons ago.
Oh, I love this. And yes, that's a great point. And that's why I go back to the community versus the audience, right? If you're simply trying to build an audience, you're going to do all the things that people do, right? The social media, they're going to either do ads, they're going to do whatever you can to get in front as many people as possible, which I'm not hating that, right? That's obviously a business strategy. However, I think you're familiar with this, I'm sure, Kellen, the 1,000 true fans, right? This has been something that's come over the last 10, 20 years that has been resonating with a lot of people because now they realize, hey, if I could just reach 1,000 people, let's just do the math. If I do this as a musician all the time, if I can get 500 people who would pay me $500 to go to the Bahamas and let's do a private concert, well, I've just made a salary, right? That a lot of people would be happy to have. That's the point. It's not about whether or not you have a bunch of people, it's whether you serve them with a lot of value that they're willing to pay for. And you can do that in podcasting by providing value. You can do that by providing services. You can do that by being the go-to expert. You can do that by being a person that collaborates and curates the information that they can get on YouTube and on ChatGPT, but they can't get it from a person and they can't get it from the relationships that you built over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I built relationships in my God and Gigs brand that I never could have paid for. But these people trust me. Why? Because I brought them on my show and I was able to give them a voice in an area that most people don't know them for. So that's a monetizable network that I'm not using to gain money from them. I'm letting people know that, hey, I want to be a part of your network. I want to help you to build these relationships. That is valuable. So that's the key. It's making your content and your community valuable to the right kind of people who may have deep pockets, right? And if you have 10 CEOs or 20 CEOs or 30 CEOs and that's the people you serve, well, the money is not the issue. The value is the issue. They got the money. The question is, do you provide the value that they need? So that's the number one thing that I tell anybody about monetizing an audience or a community. I hate it. I don't like using, you can tell, I don't even like using the word audience. I like community, right? So community is the word. Find a community that you serve and serve them to the point that they want to pay you.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At cprfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Callan Cash Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at cprfirm.com.
Now, and when we talk about value, especially, I don't mean to pick on the younger people, and the younger people are anybody who hasn't had a prostate exam or a colonoscopy. That's what younger people. You haven't lived until you've had to go to the doctor for some serious stuff. Hemorrhoids it could be included, but some of y'all young people have that because of your diet. But when we talk about value, sometimes people see value as, oh, if you have 1 million views, it was valuable, but two cats fighting to me is not valuable. It could have 1 billion views. There's also like cognitive biases where people, have this illusory superiority type deal where they think everything they say is valuable. And even though they didn't graduate high school, they still are a genius in their own mind, a stable genius at that. We're in Florida, so that makes sense, talking about my Irish twin. But is that value in the views, or is that value in how the audience, what they do with it, and if they come back to you? Because you might be serving value, but you never hear about it, and you never hear about it till you're in the grocery store and someone says, hey, I know you. So how do we know if our stuff is even valuable or if we need to cállate la boca? And that's just, shut our people.
No. You got some amazing questions, brother. I appreciate this interview so much. So there's two kinds of signals, and I've been reading a lot about this. I'm also in the podcasting 2.0 space, so we can go super nerdy if you want. But there's two kinds of signals. The signals are the attention signal, right? The attention signal is what 99.9% of social media is built on. It's the like, right? It's the comment, it's the engagement that everybody talks about. So the attention signal is what people assume is value. Because I gave you my time and I gave you my engagement, that must mean that what it's the reviews, right? 5 stars, all that kind of stuff. That attention signal is what 90% of most of our commerce is built on. If other people are going there, it must be good, right? If other people are liking it, it must be good. So that's the value signal. I'm sorry, the attention signal. The value signal is the one where people don't really recognize it. This is the one you're talking about. When I go to you and I say, yeah, I went to this restaurant. Oh yeah, and by the way, I got the $1,000 whatever course, the 5-course meal. Da, 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 da. That's a different signal. I'm only one person, but I paid $1,000 for their meal. Now the value signal is not just how many people liked it, but how much were they willing to invest into it? How deeply involved in it? How many years have you been a member, right? I've been a member for 10 years, been a member for 15 years. Da, 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 da. So now people are paying attention less to how many people were watching it and more how long. That's why people love that watch time thing, right? It's the engagement over time. It's the investment over time. So I would say for the people that you said, okay, this is my struggle as well. When people come to me, and, oh, I've been watching your podcast forever and ever. And I'm like, you've never commented once. Like the lurkers, right? That drives you insane, but you have to learn to value that over the person that just liked it and said all the things, but then didn't really engage over time. So I love the fact that you said about the YouTube, the returning viewers, the people who are engaging over time. The trick is to get those people to be more vocal, to engage with you, to talk to you about why are you staying? Why did you come back? Every single person that comments on every single of my social medias, I always respond. I always do a comment back. Hey, thank you. How are you doing? Create the conversation because the conversation creates the connection. But so many of us are looking for so many views that have no connection, and then we don't see the value of it because we think it's just, oh, well, that didn't get 10 views, that didn't get 20 views. If that 20th person is going to stick with you for the next 20 years, that's lifetime value. That's lifetime value. That's return on investment right there. If you can get that person to dig in and stay in. So that's the difference. I don't know if I explained that right, but that's the way I see it.
Oh no, I'm getting it, and we can go as nerdy and deep as you want because that's just where I like to go, and we don't have to force it. It can be natural, but for the person who's like, I want to get in this, or I'm doing it and I'm struggling, and for that person listening, if you haven't contacted me, please contact me. I got a gift for you. I don't know. It might be some business advice. It might be some, go to school for this advice so you don't have to pay $100,000 like we did to go get a degree that you say, man, where are all the jobs once you come out? They said go to grad school. It would all be good. But hit me up. Links are in the description of any way to hit me up. And, also hit Alan C. Paul if you need help with your podcast, because I don't mind. We help and consult in many ways. I have some YouTubers that are well known, and we get to travel the world and bring their audience. So I kind of see, like, when you do get to a certain level, how annoying it can be and how your life can be sometimes, the death threats. Oh, I get the death threats first from all of our clients. And I'm like, oh man, we got to make sure we let people know it's not that serious. It's just one person's opinion. Can you talk about, it being one person's opinion? Are we not, when we're going nerdy with people, are we doing something wrong? Because we're not hitting like that dopamine effect, that dopamine hit, where if we were showing Kevin Samuels and Charleston White and, Alex Jones type of material, and sorry, the world's about to end, people would hit and they come because that dopamine is like that sugar rush that I'm addicted to. But I'm working on it. Pray for me, y'all. Are we doing something? Do we have to mix what we call and put the, medicine in the food or the food in the medicine?
Oh man, you're doing some good talking right now. Okay, so I deal with this every day. Those of us who are writing emails, those of us who are doing subject lines, right? You're always like debating, is this clickbait, right? You're thinking to yourself, do I have to? You just said it. put in this kind of a little bit of sensationalism. And here's the thing. I'll go faith for a second just because is where I live, right? So I mean, Jesus was an amazing marketer, if you want to use that phrase. I, he was able to get people without social media, without any of this other stuff. He was able to get thousands of people to follow him around and to say things like, "Do unto others that you have to do unto them." You know what I mean? Right? Like these comments, and he was controversial. So I'm like, here's a man that's a holy man, but was able to get people to follow him without being clickbaited, but he hit them where it hurt. He constantly hit the exact issue where they were like, "What did you just say?" I try to do the same thing in my marketing. I'm not trying to clickbait you or trying to find you to by sensationalizing things. I'm trying to hit right where you were at the moment that you were like, "Was he reading my mail?" That is just as effective in bringing people in as it would be to say, earn $1 million tomorrow, right? Because I feel like that kind of stuff can't last. You can kind of get, like you said, a lot of clicks, a lot of views over the sensationalism, over the world's going to end. But the fact is, you got to say that every day. You got to be right every day. You got to come up with something new, the new gag every day. Or you could just be like, "Hey, I live where you live, and I know exactly what you're going through. And here's the problem you're dealing with right now. You just fell asleep, falling asleep, thinking about, and you woke up thinking about that problem awareness, and you hit that. That's just as sensational because it hits you emotionally, right? That's what we're talking about. People are motivated by three things: fear, curiosity, and desire. If I can hit one of those three things, but have an honest attempt to help you, now I hit both. I got you emotionally, but I'm not out here to debate you. I'm actually trying to help you. You just needed the reminder that you need help, right? So that's how I see that. It's not clickbait if it's true.
Yeah, yeah, and we're seeing, YouTube for years has been saying they're going to cut down on people doing, clickbait. But I mean, now you see nurse Bay, nurse this, they're half naked, they're a nurse, Dr. Sexy, Dr. Glow. I mean, some of them I know, so I got to watch what I say. And they'll be like, killing at the next, round. I don't want to get hit in the head or stuck with something. But where are we going? Because you're seeing educated people who say they believe in God, half naked with their children sometimes, who are sometimes half naked. Guys, fund Chris Hansen and his project, please, because we need to find more of those people who are looking for people. But where are we going in this whole online thing where soon everybody will have a VR set or glasses that bring them in a cyber world and our worlds won't even be real? It's virtual reality. It's all these, things that we love being nerds on this computer and this tech. But where do you
Mm-hmm.
see us going? And especially the church, because the church can't run from this. I'm seeing Pastor, Glenda, and her dresses are getting tighter and tighter and shorter. And back in the day when the ushers used to bring the thing, like people are coming in their grocery shopping outfits to church, and it's like, what's going on? Because I don't have a vice except that crack, that original crack. I'm not trying to see all that, when I'm coming to church. I know I got to renew my mind, but where do you see us going, especially the church? Because it's getting crazy out there. Maybe it's always been.
No, okay. So you said a lot right there. I'll go first to the first point you said about the fact that whether it be nurses, doctors, lawyers, whatever, feel like they have to do like the thing, right? The TikTok dance, whatever. I kind of go back to this original point, which is, can you sustain that? Can you sustain? Are people going to keep coming? The right kind of people, just because you took off, you're a little bit more scantily clad or whatever. Like, is that really the career you want? Is that really what you want to be known for over time? Do you want to know for your body or for your mind? You want to be known for your spirit or for your sexiness? Like, which one is it? Because one of them is going to be one that people remember. So, which one is it? So, I don't try to judge any kind of influencer, creator, none of that, right? I just say, what's the career that you want? I want the career that I want, that I have right now. I'm been married 30 years. Kids still like hanging around their dad. Like, that's the career I wanted. So, it made me choose. Remember, I'm a musician, so I was in this world, right? All the guys I work with people who basically do this for a living, and some of it isn't fun when it comes down to the moral stuff. So let me pivot to the church. It's the same issue you have, whether it's virtual reality, whatever it is. We're supposed to be in it, not of it. They're tools that we use, but we shouldn't let the tools use us, right? So if AI is telling me that, this craziness about whatever God is or whatever, and I type it in, I use it as my sermon, I'm going to get what I want to get because I'm letting somebody else, the technology, run what I think. It's got to come from inside. And then the technology can help me do it better. I'm not saying all of us should get into some, whatever box and hide from AI, hide from technology. The devil is in the detail, devil's in the computer or whatever. Like, no, we can use this stuff even in the faith space, but we have to, again, keep our mindset right to we are not being used by this thing. We are using this thing to impact the world through our message. And the message sometimes needs different things to make it possible for you to get it out there, right? So the method might change. That's what we're looking for. The method could be AI. The method could be virtual reality. The method, but it can't change the message. If the message gets changed by the method, we got a problem.
That's good. That's good. And you being a musician and saying, oh man, there's no party like when musicians have a party, and just creatives. But y'all can put the piano and everything on it. I can hear someone say, "Well, Lucifer was." I get it, Lucifer. Yeah, we got it. And so maybe that's why the party is jamming, because Lucifer might just creep up in there and just get his waltz on. But are you hireable outside of the gospel, outside of the church? If somebody says, you know what, I need you to come down to New Orleans, or I need you to come to Ethiopia because they got a great jazz scene out there. Are you hireable outside of the church, or do you have limits to say, you know what, I'm only doing this genre? Because I know Christian artists that they won't even take beats that are not made by Christians, because they say there might be something behind that beat. Now, whether that's in their mind, and that's all it has to do is be in their mind, and it's like, cool, go where you're comfortable. But what is your stance on who you make music for and how you make it?
Oh, I love this question. Number one, the fact that I have been able to be in the music industry as a musician for now 20, 30 years, coming up on 30 years, yeah, something like that. And this is what my entire book is about, God and Gigs. It's literally the reason why I'm a podcaster. Because before I got a podcast, I was playing only in church, Khaled. I was only playing for about 2000, let's say 2099 to like 2005, 2006, all the way up to like 2008 or so, just church. I thought God said I was going to go to hell if I played a Luther song or a Stevie Wonder song. Like I thought I was out, right? Then get this, I just tell you the story quick because it's in the book, God and Gigs. Any musician that's listening, that's in church and dealing with what he just talked about is literally what my platform started with. I got to the point where I heard God say to me, and I know people say, well, does God speak? Well, I heard him. Well, I heard him. And he's like, you did get a jazz degree, didn't you? You do play jazz piano. I'm like, yeah. It's like, and what are you doing with it? Like, you mentioned earlier about the $100,000 that people spend on a degree, right? It's like, what are you doing with that degree? I'm like, oh, I'm playing your music. It's like, I didn't tell you you had to do that. You told yourself you could only do that. And I go to the story of any other profession. How many people only go to Christian plumbers? If you got your toilet backed up, are you checking to see if that man saved before he unstops your toilet? Are you checking on your doctor to make sure that they don't have any voodoo before they go in and say, please check my heart, I've got a heart arrhythmia? Are you going to your grocer and say, hey, public CEO, before I eat this public sub, is your butcher saved? You're not doing that. The only place we do that is in the creative arts because it's visible. That's the only place where we qualify the work by the worker's mentality or salvation. Nowhere else do we do that. So I would say to anybody that's worried about that right now, do what I did. Pray about it. Some people are planning just for church, but then some people are sent outside to do things outside the church in the marketplace. And that's where God and Gigs exists. So all that to say, yes, I am hireable. Yes, I have keyboard, will travel. Yes, if you got an event, all I'm going to do is say, is this good for my faith and my family? And if those two questions are answered, I'm going. Right? Now, if one of those is wrong, if it's not good for my faith or not good for my family, I'm saying no. Right? And notice I didn't say finances, because that's not the first thing. I do a lot of gigs that are not about finances. So my gigs are based on, does it fit with my faith? Does it fit with my family? If those two things are cool, let's rock.
Hello, everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now, available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
I love it. And you guys can catch that book and go to his website, but we'll have links in the description. And because the book is on Amazon, has some positive reviews. So, you can learn. And I was laughing so much internally when you said if you were a plumber, because I'm thinking somebody who's sanctified and so holy going in there and said, hold on. You eating the pork? You eating the swine? Oh, the devil's in the swine. I can't do this job. I see it plugged up, and they just leave. Yeah. No plumber has ever said that. So, but you talked about 30 plus years of marriage, and I said clapped internally, externally. I was like this, how has it been being a creative with a wife, with children? Because I always joke and say, I don't care how much money you make, enough is never enough for a family. There's always something, especially when you come to the African side of things. Someone's always being born, someone's always dying. Both of them, you have to contribute. But how has that been? Any tips and tricks for people? We just celebrated yesterday 17 years of marriage. I've known her over 20, but thank you. But we were just, give us the tricks to keep it going so we can keep going and following those footsteps that you've laid.
Well, number one, happy anniversary, brother. I love this, man. This is why I mentioned it. I always kind of go back and forth with my heart in my head of should I lead with husband, father, right? Before I in a business podcast, whatever podcast, I always start with that. And it's like, am I kind of like trying to, tip the scales a little bit? Like, oh, I don't really want to talk about business. I'm going to talk about my family if they're not even interested in my family. But without the family, what's the point of the business? The business exists to support the family. So I'm starting with the family because that's the whole point why the business exists, right? So that's why I love the fact you were able to pick that up. Here's what I said just the other day. My friend of mine, Quick the Poet. If you guys are in South Florida, go check out Quick the Poet. He is incredible, both in the poetry scene and just like as a man. So I've been rocking with Quick the Poet for about 20 years or so. He came in, we were about to rehearse on his thing, and we were talking about, he's been married. He's got about 4 girls. He got 2 twin girls, and 4 total. And we were just talking about, oh man, how do we make it this far? My kids are grown. My son turns 28 today. So we were just talking about all this stuff. And he's like, people don't really talk about, what's the secret? And I said, everybody that writes a book about the secret to staying married gets divorced. Like, like every single one that gets out here talking about like, oh yeah, this is how I did it. And then you're like, look around and wait, they still together? So here's the thing I'll say, Kevin. I said the other day, so I don't have to like remember what I said because it's the only phrase I have, the only secret I have. The secret is there is no secret. That's the secret is there is no secret. What worked for you to get you to 17 is not going to work for me to get to 20 or 30. It's knowing the person you're with is unique, and you're going to have to work with staying with that person like no one else in your life. No one else will get what your wife gets. No one else has gotten what my wife has gotten. No one else has lived the experience. So comparing apples to oranges, now there's some things, obviously communication, you can talk about those things. But I think the reaching for if I just did this, I would solve this woman. You ain't gonna solve that woman. She's not a puzzle. She's a person. So like that whole idea of like me, and I'm telling you, I didn't mean to get deep here, but I will. The best thing I did for my marriage was work on me, not her. I need to be a better man, period. I've gone through 3 marriages in my head. Not that they actually were marriages, but I feel like our marriage is 3 marriages without a divorce. 3 seasons where things should have ended. And each season, I worked on me and she worked on her. And every season has gotten better. It had nothing to do, not nothing, wrong word to say it. It was not just because I wanted to be with her. It's that I wanted to be the best person that she would choose me. That's it. It's her choice. Every morning she wakes up, do I want to stay with this Negro or not? I need to make that choice easier and easier every day. That's if that's a secret, I don't know. Maybe that helps somebody. But that's a true, honest to God. She's sitting right over there, probably listening. And she hopefully will be nodding her head, because because it's not a secret, man. It's just been day to day choosing her and choosing to be the right kind of person for her. And that took a lot of internal growth, bro. It took me from being a boy to a man.
It will even go deeper because it also might have took you from having hair to saying, "Let me just let it all go." And you know, and I tell people I'm trying to keep the hairline tight, but we ain't doing no surgery. What you see is what you get, and then we just, you know, I can shave it off and I save on my barber bill. But being a creative, where sometimes that creative money can be funny and it can have its dips, and you could be up one time and you think, oh man, bad boy for life, and then you find out, uh-oh, and I wonder if you know, and you're like, hey, so how how has that been, you know, trying to say, hey, I need you to kind of understand, because your wife might be like, you know, an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, and it's like, nah, you need to come over and do something a little more steady. Or has your money
Mhm.
always been steady in the creative space?
Oh man, this is such a great conversation. All right, so number one, let me tell you what I told my wife. Because, but back in the day when we first got married, yes, it was money was funny. Period. Right? We didn't know what we were doing. We got married young, and I was getting ready to go into school teaching. Right? Because that's the only degree I had at the point. At that point, the only skill I knew I could make money is go ahead and use my teaching degree. So I told her, like, teach. I don't know any millionaire teachers. I told her from the get go, like, and then I'm in ministry as well. Again, if you know, we're not going to go in that whole, you know, we go down the rabbit hole when it comes to ministry and money, right? But I told her, like, as far as I could tell, look, we are not going to be rolling anytime soon, right? So I knew in my head, I shouldn't have done this, but in my head, I was like, I was preparing for a certain income level. Just this is the way it's going to be, right? So I think for a lot of creatives, we get scared of the idea of business versus the art. We assume that starving artist is like a badge of honor. We assume that we sell out, that that's going to be like, you know, somewhere where we kind of giving ourselves up, right? We're compromised, things like that, right? I think the problem is with that, and what I realized is I didn't have to make a trade off of money and earning the right kind of income and being a creative. I didn't. I thought I did. But I read a great book that called basically Real Artists Don't Starve. It's the name of the book. Great book. And he mentions that Michelangelo, we've all heard about Michelangelo, right? Sistine Chapel, Statue of David. The book starts with the idea, oh, everybody assumes he's amazing, he's gifted, he's God, and all this kind of stuff, and he's making these amazing things. It also says that Michelangelo at the time would have been a millionaire, according to our money, because he was savvy with his business. He was making commissions. He was making sure he made the right connections with people. So Michelangelo was not just this gifted artist, he was also a gifted businessman. So I think it's changing mentality. I also talk about this in God Engaged and some of my other things about how you have to make sure that you have your business right and your art right so that you're not giving up one or the other. So did I struggle with it? Yes. Yes, it's been up and down, but I'm learning the secrets and I'm sharing the secrets in my podcast and in my books as well on how you can actually make money doing what you love and have a consistent income and not have to be on that kind of hustle gig to gig mentality.
And now that AI, and I'm guilty, and I probably was trying to be one of the first, because there's certain things in music that I struggle with. I don't, you know, wait, hold on. What do you mean the pitch is off? Now AI can get the pitch right, and I don't even have
Yeah.
to, you know, be there, and I can even do my lyrics on AI. What are your thoughts on where the music is it going to change? Are we just going to get like even, you know, funkier type of collaborations where we're going to get, you know, K-pop mixed with Afro beats, mixed with, you know, bluegrass? Like, where do you see us going? And does it bother you, you know, the AI music? Are you using it?
Okay, again, great question. I got to tell you, it's easier to answer questions by what's happening, what's really in my life. I have a third of my fourth podcast is Keep the Music Playing.fm. So I created a podcasting 2.0 podcast, which is strictly music. It's royalty free. In other words, it's a whole nother system. It's called Value for Value. The whole reason I'm saying this is because here's a new space of music that's not Spotify, not YouTube. These are a bunch of independent musicians that are releasing music on their own, right? I just did an episode for Christmas and I heard one track. I was like, oh, I like this track. I got ready to play it. I listened again. I listened 2 or 3 or 4 times. And then I went and looked at all of the album art. It was all AI generated art. And then I listened to the song again. I was like, this girl sang the same exact line, exactly the same way. I was like, I can't believe this. I just got fooled by a piece of AI music. I was about to put this on my podcast, man. I'm a musician. I've been playing for 30, 40 years, and I was fooled at least a day or two. Catchy. Here's what AI can do. AI music can, which I just showed you, make catchy beats. It can take all of the stuff it's been trained to do and recreate what is in my mind. Oh, that's cool. That's it. What it can't do is it cannot create soul. So I do believe musicians, artists, we're okay as long as people want connection over the catchy. The computer can do catchy, right? The computer can do, like it can create all that stuff because it's learning from us. What it cannot do is connect with a person live. It cannot see the person's heart, soul, feel what they feel, know what they felt. I think that's where music will still maintain a human connection no matter what. I don't use, like I just mentioned, I don't use AI music. I don't feel comfortable going down that road, even though I do writing and things like that, where I use like the template. I don't really feel comfortable doing that in music. I do think there's going to be more of it. And there's going to be people that are like me who are going to get fooled and be like, I don't care. It's catchy. I like it. But then when you want to go see that person's concert and they roll out a laptop, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I feel like there's going to be a breakdown. But that's just me. I know there's many other people that think that AI is the future for everything. I think music and art is the one place where we want people doing it.
And, you know, I remember back when the DJ used to do the thing, and I can remember the first time I saw my friend bring a computer and not the turntables. I said, "What is this?" And I said that I really can DJ because I was tired of scratching my pops, vinyls. I wasn't trying to get beat for messing up, some classic vinyl. But I mean, you have people out there who say, "Well, you got, from the 50s, music has been taken and people haven't got their, just due, Richard, Little Richard. We think about the Ed Sherwin case that just happened and them
Right.
saying, hey, that sounds like Marvin Gaye, but the court said differently. And it's like now I have licenses saying I can use AI music, but I also want to hear my musicians say, hey, what should be tweaked? Because there are even AI things where you can take the bass and the treble and go really deeper than I ever want to go because I just don't have that type of time y'all musicians have. Y'all got patience where it has to be heard a certain way, and I just don't have that type of ear, at least not right now, right? But even what do you think, if not for AI music, what about going into this virtual world where once these headsets get easier for people to, put together and they get cheaper, Michael Jackson is sold out in Vegas every time that hologram goes up. I've been there. I'm like,
Mm.
what am I spending this money for a hologram? And more people are doing concerts virtually. Have you participated in any of that? Or does any of that make you just shake your head and say, why? Okay, what is going on? Hi, it's Neil.
Hey, you're right there where I don't know. I gotta say honestly, the idea of recreating Michael Jackson, recreating people, that's fascinating to me. The technology fascinates me. Like I said before, what bothers me is there going to be a cutoff where people start to say, I don't even care the person's actually there or playing. I just want the experience, but I don't want to necessarily see or feel the actual person like doing it. So Michael obviously is gone, right? We have to do that virtually. We have to do other people like that. I can see people recreating some of the greats and legends and being able to re-experience that, right? Re-experience. But it's because it was from something that actually happened. The virtual thing, I honestly, I just don't know if personally I will participate. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm against the metaverse. Doesn't mean I'm against like using like technology where people could like connect with people like all across the world, make music because I'm virtually in the studio with them, right? And I can hear them back and forth. I can see that. I still just in my heart of hearts feel like people are going to eventually go back. It's like the pendulum always swings, man. We, like you said, you mentioned that we go all the way to one side where everybody's got turntables, and then it switches all the way to where everybody's got laptops. Guess what's coming out now, man? Vinyl, right? Vinyl coming back. Everybody wants to have vinyl. So there's always these pendulum swings where the technology versus it's the way it's used goes back to the original intent. People be, just say, I just want to hear it the way it was. I just want to go back. So I feel like it's going to happen again with AI and the metaverse and things like that. I just don't know when or where. So I'm watching. I'm just watching. I'm paying attention. Now I will say this: I do think musicians and creators, artists, we need to again be ahead of the game, not behind. Don't necessarily use it, but don't necessarily also be blind to it. Like be aware of it. We all got kicked in the pants by streaming because nobody was paying attention to Napster. We thought they're all stealing money. And then guess what? Now they're stealing it legally through Spotify, giving you 0.000003 cents a stream. So we should have seen it coming, but we were all like, oh, it's fine. So don't let the technology catch you sleeping. You learn about it, but just don't get to the point where you actually are using it to replace yourself. That's the way I don't like. I don't like my music being used to train AI. That's why I shut the door. Right? Y'all can use it, but I'm not letting you. This content belongs to me. So you have to come to me if you want it, or pay me AI if you want to use it. But that's the one place where I draw the line. I'm not letting you train your AI so that you can replace me.
Well, and this is my key and tip, because as consultants, one of our things are we're saying we're managing people's AI. We've been using it for over 7 years. I wrote my oldest, her first book at 7 with AI, a crossword puzzle book that's on Amazon. And what I say, what's changed between when we were young and now is you used to have talent. My mother said you have to be able to sing, dance, and do the comedy. Now you don't need talent to be famous. If Malcolm Gladwell or John Hope Bryant walk down the street, no one's making an ah. Kim Kardashian's dog walks down the street, everybody's wow. Jake Paul paid Mike Tyson instead of Mike Tyson paying Jake Paul, and Jake Paul made more money than Mike Tyson because he put it together. The world has done a little 180. Hopefully it might swing back, but with all of that and the great things that you have done, and the best is yet to come, what is a community give back that you do or that you would like to do in the future?
Oh my gosh, this is a great question. The immediate thought that popped into is you said it earlier, seeing the value, right? The community that I have built, I'll say communities, the communities and the tribes that I have been able to be a part of all have one thing in common. They know what they stand for. They know why they're standing. I have people that are on the liberal side, conservative side. I have people that are in the business side, people on the creative side. I have all these intersectionalities, right? Of like the people that I hang with, the communities I hang with. I'm like, what do they all have in common? And it's like, oh, they all stand for something. They all know who they are. And I'm comfortable in those worlds when I know who you are. Either I'm for you or against you, but I know who you are. And so we could talk, right? So I feel like what the community brings back oftentimes is that, hey, we're with you. We know what you're standing for, and we're helping you. The example I'm going to give right now, one of my clients in the Guiding Gigs world, she's one of the best, like amazing supporters. She's been on my high ticket programs, all that stuff, right? She had a what's it called? Quadruple bypass surgery like 2 or 3 years ago. Plays trumpet and also is a digital marketer, helps with big brands, big brands with their marketing and their brand strategy and doing a web analysis of their stuff. So she's got like both sides, right? That's why I use her. She's got the business side, but then she's also a musician. And then she's got this son of hers that's over in California going to school for composition. And she just posted in our website, in our membership, her giving a God and Gig shirt to her son for Christmas. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Like you thought enough of my products and my services that you thought a gift to your son, who's a musician, who's an award-winning composer at 18. In the best gift, the way it was to give him a shirt and she's the picture like that. Look, the community don't have to give me nothing else if I could see that. I'm dead serious, man. I saw this morning, like I'm about to cry, like for real. Like this just happened because we're doing this today. We're recording this the day after Christmas, right? So for me to know that that's happening, that's what the community can give back. It's honestly not just time, talent. Well, it is all three of these: time, talent, and treasure, right? Treasure is good, but the time is invaluable because we don't get that back. The talent, people offering services back to me, barter system, the people that have given me stuff for no money at all. I say, hey, I work on your project, you work on mine. And then treasure, obviously, when people invest in you, man, it's priceless because they're giving you literally hard-earned money that they could use on something else, on food, on groceries, or whatever, and they decide to invest in you. So those are the things I hope the community gives back. It's just that acknowledgement of, hey, we're doing something special. You're doing something special. Let's keep working together. That's all I can ask.
We could go on Joe Rogan style. We could go Lex Friedman style all day. But because he has so many podcasts, I want you guys to, go over there and check out and learn the tips, hear the music. There's so much going on. And, we're all in South Florida. We can always do this again and again and again because this was good conversation. This is game that people can use. Let people know where they can find you. If there's like one space they can find everything or a few spaces, you need your own portal, is what I say. They can just go and get lost in the sauce and have the music just playing and flowing. It's coming. But let them know where they can find you and any last words.
All right. So this is number one. You should be already following and subscribing to this podcast. If you haven't, what are you doing? Did you hear the energy this man just gave out, man? This is like positively on steroids, brother. I love this. So hopefully these people are following you. If they want to follow me, they can go to alancpaul.com. Now, you're right. I need a portal. I need all the things. That is probably the best one right now to get to all the things. I do have a connection to my music. I do have a connection there to my podcasting services, and I do have a connection there to my other podcast, God and Gigs, and all the other things that I do. So that's the best way for them to get to all different places. Hold on, I hope I can show you. I think my switch this up.
Make sure I can still hear you when we get back into this. All right. Sorry, that was bad audio. Here we go. I think I got it. Cool. All right. So I was saying alancpaul.com to go to all the different things, right? And then if they want to go specifically to godandgigs.com, that's where you find all of my faith-oriented stuff for creatives who want to succeed as creatives without sacrificing your faith. So I would say Alan C. Paul, for pretty much 90% of everybody that's watching, if you're specifically looking for my podcast on God and Gigs, which has been my biggest platform, that's where you go, godandgigs.com, godandgigs.com/podcast if you want to find it in terms of all the different networks that we're sharing our episodes on.
And you guys, for those who love the free and say, well, I went to Amazon and I saw the book, but I got to wait for someone to buy it, then try to return it because I want to get it for, half the price. Go to your local library and make a campaign and say, hey, where's the faith-based stuff? And where's the stuff, and
Wait,
tell.
I got to stop you right there. See, this is where you're next level. This is next level. I'm on the Libby app. I don't know if any of you guys know about Libby. Libby is like the Amazon app for the local libraries, right? And this happens every time I look for a book, man. I'm like, these are the books I really want to read, business books I really want to read. And they're always like, not available, not available, not available, not available. Because librarians don't realize that we want these books. I love what you just said. Go campaign and say, hey, are you carrying blank? Like your local authors, right? Your local people in our community. I know tons of authors. Their books should be in the libraries, but we got to campaign and tell the libraries, hey, carry this so that people can find it. If they don't necessarily want to buy it, they can still get it at the local library. They're paying taxes. They might as well have access to the materials that they actually want. So I had to stop you there, man. I'm gonna remind myself. I'm gonna write that down. You gave me, go tell people to campaign the local libraries to carry these books. That's awesome.
And I'll tell you what will make it a little easier because we also have a publishing company because we write books here. Everybody in my house has written a book, even my 11-year-old, who's my youngest now. Everyone has to write a book to be in this house. It's part of the toll. And so a lot of times what librarians will try to say no to is because if you're only on Amazon, that's why you guys, and on my Killing Cash YouTube, I give you all this game for free. You have to have Amazon and Ingram Spark, not Ingram, but Ingram Spark, because now the libraries can see you. You'll be in the CAT system and all this other nerd stuff when it comes to publishing. So go make sure you do Amazon. You do Ingram Spark. Yes, you do need different ISBN numbers and SKUs and all that. So things are confusing. Yes, it does help to have a positive Kirkus review, but we've been able to get at least one book in there without paying Kirkus $700 or $800 so they can, do a review because they don't have to give you a positive review and they don't always. So it's always by the grace of God, and we thank God for the money that we spent. We're like, yes, a positive one. But it doesn't stop there. Ingram Spark, Amazon, Kirkus reviews, and then going to the conferences and shaking the hands, and also being a friend of the library, which could cost you maybe $20 more. But again, it's all part of the game. It's a pay to play. This is America. This is capitalism. You guys have been blessed with this game. So whether you're listening, watching on YouTube, and again, I need you to go on both because I need you to maybe like, I need you to comment, and I mostly need you to share this game right here that Alan C. Paul gave. It will change somebody's life. Y'all remember, family business. It's different. Be blessed.
Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed biased socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. DiversifiedGame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. The opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent and prepare for a journey of restoration and joy by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at diversifiedgame.com.